All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something you might not think is all that interesting at first glance. We're talking about selling roofing companies. I know. Doesn't sound super thrilling, right?
Yeah.
But stick with us. Trust me, there's a lot more to it than you might think.
Yeah, what's really cool about this topic is that even if you're not planning to buy or sell a roofing company anytime soon, a lot of these principles we're going to talk about, they apply to way more than just roofing. I mean, think about it.
Right.
Valuation, recurring revenue, market dynamics. These things come up whether you're running a business, investing, even if you're thinking about selling your house someday.
So the jumping off point for today's deep dive is an article from Sunbelt Marketing called How to Sell a Roofing Company, Tips for Maximizing Your Roof Business Value.
Hmm.
And just a little fun fact to get us started. Did you know that the U.S. roofing industry is worth over $50 billion?
Yeah.
$50 billion. Kind of blew my mind when I saw that.
$50 billion. That's huge. I mean, that tells you right there, this is a big market. There's definitely potential here. And when you think about it, it makes sense. Everybody needs a roof over their head. And then you add in new construction, storm damage repairs, this push for energy efficient materials. I mean, it's an industry that's pretty darn resilient.
It's almost like a built-in subscription service in a way, right?
Mm.
Every roof eventually needs to be replaced. So that means there's always going to be demand. But let's say you are a roofing company owner and you're thinking about selling. Where do you even start? How do you figure out what your business is worth?
Well, this is where the article gets really interesting. They talk about using something called EBITDA multiples. You can think of it like a secret code that reveals how much a company's worth.
Okay, I got to admit, whenever I hear EBITDA, I kind of glaze over.
Yeah.
So for those of us who don't speak fluent finance, maybe we could break that down a little.
Sure. So EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically, it gives you a snapshot of how much profit a company's making from its core operations, before all those other factors get taken into account.
Okay, that makes sense. But what's a multiple in this context?
Okay, imagine you've got two houses, right? They're identical, same size, same style, same neighborhood, but one of them, it has a beautiful landscape yard and a recently renovated kitchen, and the other one needs a little bit of TLC, maybe some work. Which one do you think would sell for more?
Oh, definitely the one with the upgrades. Hands down.
Exactly. So even though the houses are physically the same, those extra features, they add value. And it's kind of the same thing with businesses. EBITDA multiples are like those upgrades. They help us figure out the intangible stuff that makes one company more desirable and therefore more valuable than another.
Okay, so it's like those things that aren't immediately obvious, but they make a big difference in the long run.
Right. So let's say a roofing company has an EBITDA of $1 million. A buyer might be willing to pay 3 times that amount. So $3 million for the whole business. That 3x is the multiple.
So a 3x multiple versus, say, a 6x multiple. That tells you a lot about how the market views that company. But what actually influences those multiples? Like, what makes one roofing company worth more than another, even if their profit margins are the same?
Well, one of the biggest things is something we touched on earlier, recurring revenue. Buyers absolutely love to see a steady, predictable stream of income coming in. So if a roofing company has long-term service contracts or maintenance agreements, those warranties,
It's like striking gold.
it's even better than gold.
Yeah.
Think about it. You're not just buying a customer list, you're buying future income streams.
Yeah.
And in the roofing industry, where you've got this built-in demand, everyone needs a roof, eventually those recurring revenue streams are like owning a little piece of that guarantee.
Right. It reduces the risk for the buyer.
Exactly. And it shows that the business is healthy, that it's got a solid foundation.
Makes total sense. But I imagine getting your business ready to sell probably takes some serious prep work, even with that recurring revenue. Where do you even begin?
Well, the article lays out a few really important steps. And honestly, it's not all that different from getting your house ready to put on the market. First impressions matter a lot, and you want to showcase your business in the best possible light.
So it's got to be spotless, no clutter.
You got it. That means your financials have to be squeaky clean, no shoeboxes full of receipts under the bed.
Full transparency.
Exactly. Buyers are going to want to see detailed financial reports, profit and loss statements, tax returns, balance sheets, the whole 9 yards. They want to see the proof that your company's financially sound, that it has a history of success.
It's like giving them a peek under the hood to prove everything's running smoothly.
Exactly. But it's not just about the numbers. You also want to show that you've got a strong management team in place. Buyers want to know that the business can keep thriving even if you're not there anymore.
So it's not a one-man show.
Right. It's about showing them that the business isn't totally dependent on the owner.
That makes sense.
And of course, we can't forget about those recurring revenue streams. Those service contracts and maintenance agreements are like pure gold when it comes to increasing the value of your business. You're basically saying, hey, this isn't just a flash in the pan. This business is built to
You're
last.
painting a picture of stability,
Exactly.
growth potential.
You got it. But here's the big question, maybe even the multi-million-dollar question. Do you try to sell the business yourself or do you call in a professional? It's a big decision.
Yeah, I can see how it'd be tempting to think you can save some money by going it alone.
Oh, absolutely. But the article makes a really strong case for using a business broker, especially in the roofing industry.
But wouldn't it be cheaper to try selling it myself first and then only bring in a broker if I can't find a buyer?
You could, but think of it this way. You've put so much into this business, your heart, your soul, your time. It's your baby. Do you really want to risk undervaluing it? Or even worse, scaring off potential buyers because you don't know all the ins and outs of how to navigate a business sale? A good broker is like your advocate. They're there to make sure you get the best possible deal.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value here. It's kind of like using a real estate agent when you're selling your house.
It is. They're the experts. They know the market inside and out. They've got all the connections, the negotiation skills. They know how to make your business shine and attract the right buyers.
So they're like the matchmakers of the business world, connecting sellers with the perfect buyer. Speaking of buyers, if you were looking to buy a roofing company, what would be at the top of your checklist?
Well, first and foremost, a good reputation is absolutely key. Buyers want to know they're not getting into some risky situation. They want a business that's got a solid track record, a loyal customer base, a strong presence in the community. You know, those positive reviews online, industry awards, involvement in local charities. Those are all really good signs.
It's more than just the numbers, isn't it? It's about feeling good about the business, trusting it. You don't want to buy a headache.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like that old saying, you're not buying the horse, you're buying the jockey.
Hmm.
You want to feel good about the people who are running the business.
Exactly. And buyers also want to see potential for growth. You know, is there room to expand? Are there opportunities to add new services? Maybe try some innovative ideas that haven't been fully explored yet? They want to feel like they're not just maintaining what's already there. They want to be able to build on a solid foundation.
Right, so they're not just buying what the business is, they're buying what it could become.
That's it.
But let's be real, selling any business is going to come with challenges. What are some of the hurdles that are specific to the roofing industry?
Well, one common mistake owners make is overvaluing their business. They've put so much into it, you know, their heart and soul. It's easy to get emotionally attached and lose perspective.
Yeah, it's like when someone tries to sell their house for way more than it's worth just because they've got so many memories there. It ends up sitting on the market forever.
Exactly. And in the business world, if you set your asking price too high, it can scare off potential buyers and slow down the whole process.
Makes sense.
Another challenge is making sure the transition to the new owner goes smoothly. It's not just about handing over the keys and walking away, it's about setting them up for success.
So what does a smooth transition actually look like?
Think of it like passing the baton in a relay race, right? You don't want to fumble at the last minute and mess up the whole race. A successful handover takes planning, communication, and a genuine willingness to help the new owner hit the ground running.
Okay, so it's more than just introducing the new owner to the team and handing over some files.
Way more. It might involve training, introducing them to key clients and suppliers, maybe even offering ongoing support for a while. It could mean sharing your insights about the local market, explaining those weird customer relationships that you've built over the years. Maybe even giving them advice on how to navigate those tricky permitting processes.
It's recognizing that even though you're stepping back, you still care about the business. It's your legacy.
Exactly. And since we've been talking so much about recurring revenue, I'm curious, what are some of the creative ways roofing companies can actually build those steady income streams that buyers love so much?
Well, maintenance contracts seem like a no-brainer. Regular inspections, preventative maintenance. It's a win-win for both the company and the customer, right?
Correct.
The company gets that predictable revenue, and the homeowner gets peace of mind knowing their roof is in good hands.
Absolutely. It's like a subscription service for your roof. You pay a monthly fee and you're covered.
I like it.
Another area with a lot of potential is energy efficiency. With energy costs going up all the time, homeowners and businesses are looking for ways to save money, and the roof plays a big part in that.
So if a roofing company specializes in energy-efficient materials and installations,
That's a major selling point. Think solar panels, cool roofs that reflect heat, insulation upgrades. These services can command a premium price, and they attract those environmentally conscious customers who are looking to invest in sustainability.
it's tapping into a whole new market. And we can't forget about warranties, offering extended warranties on materials and workmanship.
Another great way to build trust and show the quality of your work. And yes, it generates that recurring revenue too. It tells the buyer, hey, we stand behind our product. We're in it for the long haul.
It all comes back to that. Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm a buyer for a second. If I'm looking at a roofing company, what are some red flags I should watch out for?
Ooh, that's a smart question. One of the most obvious ones is inconsistent financials. If the numbers are all over the place with unexplained ups and downs in revenue or expenses, that could be a sign of bad management. Or potentially something even more serious.
Like they're trying to hide something.
Could be. If the financials don't make sense or raise more questions than answers, you gotta proceed with caution. Due diligence is super important in any business purchase. You gotta examine everything carefully. Think of it like you're a detective looking for clues.
I like that.
Another red flag is high employee turnover.
Yeah, high turnover is never a good sign no matter what kind of business it is.
Exactly. It could mean bad working conditions, low morale, a lack of leadership. All of those things can really impact the business's performance and make it a risky investment.
So I shouldn't be afraid to ask questions, talk to the employees, and get a feel for what the company culture is like.
Absolutely. Don't be shy about asking tough questions about why the owner is selling. Are they retiring, moving on to something new, or are they just trying to get out before things go bad?
There's a big difference between a well-planned exit and a desperate fire sale. You don't want to walk into a disaster.
Nope. Even though we've been focused on roofing, I think there are some bigger takeaways here that apply to anyone thinking about selling a business, or even just navigating the world of investments and assets.
Yeah, it's like a business strategy masterclass disguised as a conversation about roofing companies.
Exactly. So what are some of the things that really stood out to you? What can our listeners take away from this, even if they're not in construction?
Well, I've talked a lot about recurring revenue,
Mhm.
and it really makes you realize that it's not just a business concept. It applies to so many areas of life. Whether you're selling a product, a service, or even thinking about your own financial portfolio, creating a predictable stream of income is key. It maximizes value and minimizes risk.
Think about all those subscription models we see everywhere now, from streaming services to meal kits to software. It's all about moving away from one-time transactions and building those ongoing relationships that bring in revenue over time.
And something else that really struck me was the importance of storytelling.
Yeah. Storytelling is powerful. We all love a good story.
When you're selling something, you're not just selling a product or a service. You're selling a vision.
Right.
It's about painting a picture of the future, highlighting the potential, and making the buyer feel like they're not just making a purchase, they're becoming part of something bigger. And that applies to so many things, not just selling a roofing company. It could be a tech startup, a piece of art, even just pitching an idea.
I agree. And like you mentioned earlier with the financials, due diligence is essential, both for buyers and sellers.
Yeah, it's about protecting yourself, making smart choices, and avoiding those costly mistakes that happen when you rush into a deal without doing your homework.
And finally, I think we can't forget about the human element in all of this.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the contracts, the logistics of it all. But at the end of the day, business is about people.
It's easy to look at a business and just see, numbers and assets, but it's so much more than that. There are people's livelihoods, their dreams, years of hard work. All of that's tied into a company.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. We have to remember there are real people involved. We got to approach these things with empathy, whether you're the buyer or the seller. So we've talked about valuation, due diligence, recurring revenue, even that human element. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really dug into yet, finding the right buyer.
Yes. That's the key, isn't it? It's not just about finding someone with enough money to buy your business. You got to find the right fit. Someone who shares your vision, someone who values what you've built, someone who can take the company to the next level.
It's like finding a good home for your pet. You wouldn't just give it to anyone,
Yeah.
right? You want to make sure they can take care of it, love it.
Exactly. So, how do you find that perfect match when it comes to roofing businesses?
Well, the article really stresses working with a broker who specializes in the industry. They've got the network, the knowledge, they know how to market your business discreetly to the right people.
It's not just about putting a for sale sign on your website and hoping for the best.
Nope, it's got to be more strategic.
You have to position your business in a way that appeals to a specific type of buyer.
Exactly. And part of that is highlighting what makes your company special, what makes it stand out from the competition.
Right. What's your niche? What are you really good at? Residential, commercial?
Yeah, all those things.
Do you have a great safety record? Are you offering something innovative, like green roofing or solar?
All those things can make your business more attractive to the right person.
It's about showing off what makes you different, what makes you stand out from the crowd. And while we're talking about standing out, we can't forget about company culture. Remember those employee conversations we talked about before? If you've got a positive, supportive work environment, that's a huge selling point. Buyers these days, they're not just looking at the bottom line. They want to invest in companies that align with their values.
It's about showing them that you've built a good business and you've also created a place where people want to work. That says a lot. Okay, let's fast forward a bit. You've found a buyer, you've negotiated everything, you're ready to close the deal. What happens next? What are the big things to think about during that transition phase?
That's when the real work begins. It's like the last lap of the relay race. You don't want to drop a baton after you've come this far. The transition is so important. You want to minimize disruption and set the new owner up for success.
So what does a successful transition look like? I'm guessing it's more than just handing over the keys and saying, good luck.
You got it. First of all, you've got to make introductions. Introduce the new owner to your team, to your clients, to your suppliers. It's all about building relationships, establishing that trust from the very beginning.
It's like passing the torch, but making sure the flame stays lit.
I love that. And then there's the whole knowledge transfer piece. You got to train the new owner on your systems, your processes, all that specialized knowledge that's unique to your business. Think about those customer relationships you've spent years building, those tricky permitting processes, all the industry secrets you've picked up along the way. Sharing all of that is so valuable, it can make a huge difference for the new owner.
It's like an apprenticeship. You're passing on your skills, your wisdom.
Exactly. And, depending on the deal, you might even stay on for a little while as a consultant. Help them through the transition. That can really help with continuity for employees and clients. It gives the new owner a bit of a safety net.
It's about making sure that what you built keeps thriving, even after you're gone. It's your legacy.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot today. We've talked about recurring revenue, the power of a good story, due diligence, and how important those human connections are in business.
And who knows, maybe someone listening will be inspired to sell their own business. Or maybe they'll just take these ideas and apply them to their investments, their careers, their lives in general.
Exactly. It's amazing how these ideas can apply to so many different things. Who would thought that a deep dive into selling roofing companies could be so relevant to so many people?
It just goes to show that you never know where you'll find a valuable lesson. Keep an open mind. Keep exploring. Keep diving deep. And to our listeners, we'll leave you with this. We've learned how important recurring revenue is and how attractive those subscription-like business models are. So, what other industries could benefit from that approach? What does it tell us about the future of business? What does it tell us about the value of creating a predictable, reliable income stream?
Now there's a question to keep you thinking. Until next time, folks, keep those minds curious and keep those roofs over your heads in